What's going on, everybody? Sorry, it was close. I almost forgot to hit it, but now I'm on it, baby. What's happening, everybody? Salute to everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining us as always. You see it. It's Ron. It's John. We're back again, folks.
That's right. We're in the building. Ready to talk some NBA.
Yeah. It's tough, guys, because I know. It's a little bit of a slow basketball time right now. We're in that in between. Summer League just finished. A lot of NBA execs are on vacation and stuff, and they're coming off of vacation. You don't really have anything going on. Training camp hasn't started yet. Still waiting to see what's going on with Kyrie, what's going on with KD, what's happening with Donovan. Like, there's a lot of question marks and not a lot of action. So yeah. We're at that stalemate right now. We're like,
and those are the big names, right? That we're all expecting to see drop.
Correct.
But there are some smaller things happening, within the NBA that I'm sure we'll touch base on a little bit. Just give everybody an update on what the latest trades have looked like, or pickups, I should say, because that's really what's happening. There's folks getting picked up from the free agent pool. So.
Yeah. We'll get into a little of that because unfortunately, I mean, you would think there'd be more movement. There hasn't been a lot. Right. And I'm kind of surprised at that. And one thing that I feel is really interesting, if we want to start off with him, is Colin Sexton. I think it's kind of surprising that he's still sitting out there. And I don't know, you've seen other young players from his class get their extensions, and I understand he just dealt with a pretty bad tough injury, and he's coming back from that. But at this point, it's kind of a common injury, and a lot of players come back from it. So I'm kind of surprised that no one has really made a move to add him to their team. Is it because they're waiting to see how the other dominoes drop? That's a possibility, but it's tough.
Yeah, I'm sort of in agreement with you because I think he's a quality point guard. He just happened to have a couple of bad years with injuries, and I think he's going to be a valuable asset for a team that's willing to take a chance on him. They could probably get him at a decent, salary. Now that there are some other bigger names out there right now. But again, it's all dependent. I think there are teams that are sort of waiting to see who drops, where they drop, who they're going to in order to make that move for Sexton. I don't see him going back to Cleveland, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah, I don't think I see him going back to Cleveland either. It just doesn't make sense. The way they moved last year was just really, it was really surprising how efficient, how good they were. The chemistry was really good. It just, if you're an organization looking to build and you're able to, fill in the pieces so effortlessly, why go out there and bring another guy in, even though he was a part of the team, but you're paying him, put in a big investment in him when you could put that money into something else. Yeah, it's tough.
Hey, you know what I wanted to ask you? I'm not sure if this is probably a good time to bring it up, though. The Drew League. It's a big event that happens every summer.
Let me ask you something, because honestly, every year the Drew League happens, and I swear to you, I never know when it's happening. I never really followed it. I didn't even know what it was. I thought, honestly, this is me. Now, don't make fun of me, guys. Maybe I'm a little naive to what's going on. I always thought the Drew League was just some made up league that was made because of the movie that they did.
Uncle Drew.
Yeah, I swear to you, I don't know. I didn't know what the Drew League was. And then this year I've been seeing it really popping and a lot of stars, LeBron showing up and other things. But I'll be honest with you, up until this point, I never really knew it was a real thing. I thought it was a gimmick thing.
Right. I believe it's a sort of the rucker, but in Los Angeles. So
wow,
it's sort of that caliber of a play out there.
That's crazy. I had no idea that it was like, I swear to you, I thought it was just like I thought it was the dude, I thought it was Kyrie or somebody dressed up, balling in an old man costume or something. I didn't.
He did that too, but no, it's a real league. It's been around for a while.
Hey, yeah, I'm sorry, guy. I know Vaughn Allen's like, really, Ron? Yeah, man, I'm sorry.
Listen, yeah. But also Chef puts out, also check out the Miami Pro League. So yeah.
The Miami Pro League, the Drew League. Well, now I know the Drew League is real.
Right.
The Drew League, obviously there's still people that go up to Rucker and have their thing. Although Rucker it doesn't seem to be like it's still happening, and every year a couple stars still go, but it's not popping the way it used to be popping. You know what I mean? And we also are far removed from the Rucker tournaments that used to happen, which were great.
Right.
I mean, the big ones where Jay-Z and Fat Joe would get their team in it, like,
Yeah, there was a big, man. I mean, when we grew up, that was what it was. It's the heyday of the Rucker Park, really, where you had all the celebrities come out and have their own teams, and you have like Def Jam versus Rockefeller, and Murder Inc. coming in, grabbing some players from the NBA, and it was a star-studded event. I remember going out there and it'd be like packed, like hundreds and hundreds of people, just waiting to see who's going to be out there. I remember I went to one where I got a inside look at Shammond Williams. You remember Shammond Williams from North Carolina?
Yeah.
Boy, that dude could shoot it, man. He could shoot it.
I'm gonna let you continue, John, but that's another thing. It's one of those where you see somebody outside of the NBA when they're playing against, more of average type players. They look like they're incredible. That's how tough the NBA is.
It is. It's different. It's just different caliber of players, and they're built differently too. Like when you talk about like just a player attributes, it stands out when you look at just the regular court of people. You know what I mean? Just a court of players versus a court of NBA players. It's just different. You know what I mean? Playing as a kid, I got a close-up look at Stephon Marbury. He was something to witness. The athlete that he was coming out of high school. Extremely strong as a young kid. So yeah, you definitely see the difference when you're up in front of them. You know what I mean? Ron Artest, another one who's very strong. At the age of 16, man, the kid was like built like a lineman. You know what I mean? So it's different. But yeah, man, the Drew League, man. What do you think about these guys' performances so far coming out of the Drew League?
I mean, so
LeBron
far,
starting it out, right? Like,
yeah, so far. I mean, one thing that's really I'll get into a couple of the notable performances that I know of that took place so far. But I think one thing that's really weird is, now that I looked back on the Drew League and saw some of the stuff going on and seeing that it's a real league and all that stuff, freaking Montrezl Harrell lit the Drew League up one year for 42 points. Montrezl Harrell. I'm like, what? Like, I don't know. I will say that I didn't love Obi was in the Drew League, I believe, correct? That was where he did his most recent performance. Was that the Drew League or was that the other league? I think it was the other league. No, it was the other league. Yeah, that one too. That's another one that's going on. Man, Obi was just walking up and down the court. There was no defense being played in that one. But I'm not sure. Now, one thing I will say about the Drew League is that some of those guys don't want to get embarrassed. I mean, if you saw the battle between DeMar DeRozan and that dude that was guarding him, He did not want DeMar getting anything. And anything he did to DeMar, he's clapping in his face. Let's go.
Yeah. But it's very similar to the Rucker Park tournaments where, each guy will go at each other and try to show each other out. But the difference is that, DeRozan's from LA, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I think he is.
He is, right? So I think it was more of a time, hometown rival type of thing, showcasing, best players from LA. But it happens, it happens to the best of them. Especially, when you up against a player who's kind of got the same skill level as you as a player. DeMar is an older player, but still, high talent.
Right.
So
yeah, he's from Compton, and I wouldn't be surprised if the guy who was guarding him, if he actually knows that guy personally. You know what I mean? It could be, because he was acting kind of wild. So, and DeRozan was really controlled. He was very calm.
He ain't trying to mess up the money.
Yeah. Don't get too loose out there.
You ain't got to do all of that. Not when you already made it. But you can see the difference. Look, LeBron was like, he showed exactly why he is who he is, because he just seems stronger than everyone, faster than everyone. It was interesting.
Yeah, he wound up. Let's see, what did he have? Yeah, 42 points, 16 rebounds, and 4 steals. Right. So yeah, he came out there to play. And it's funny because when you look at some of the highlights of LeBron, they showed a lot of his misses, and they didn't really highlight how good he was. And so I started seeing some other video. I'm like, oh man, he lit it up. And then they showed that one move that he did. He did something where he ran out to the sideline on the corner, and he did a little crossover behind the back spin, and he tried to hit the shot, and he just missed it. But that was nice. If he had hit that, the building would have collapsed. I don't know what would have happened.
Yeah. I mean, they were already going crazy with LeBron there. So
they were. You're right.
It was lit. Once he got into the building, it was lit. So
yeah.
But what do you think about of Trae Young's performance? Trae also had a really solid performance.
Listen. Trae is Trae. He's gonna do what Trae does. I like it. The weird thing about Trae's very
he's
when there's no pressure.
Right.
He is lights out, bro. Lights out. And I'm not saying that he can't play with pressure,
with the veins. Ice cold. Gotta give the kid credit, man. He put in the work. He's got game. For sure got game.
And it's not the first time he's lit up the Drew League. He's lit up the Drew League in the past. I know let's see. I saw here that he had 31 points, 12 assists. That and that was the day that Montrez had 40. That's when he had 46 or 42, whatever it was. So Montrez? He's had good games.
It's different, man. These guys, when they go into play in those tournaments, is a lot different, and a lot of the players aren't built to, withstand especially like the big guys like a Montrezl Harrell, who's a big dude. You know what I mean? He may not be tall. He may not be as tall as some other centers, but he's a big, wide individual. So it's hard to defend a guy who's, got that physical strength and also the leaping ability that he holds, so.
I agree. What I wanted to do is I wanted to run through the chat real quick and show some love to some people who have tuned in, and then get into a couple other things going around in the Eastern Conference and the NBA. First off, shout out to Anthony Marcano. Nice. And I see your comment. He said, "We the top 5. The Knicks worrying about other teams, please." I like the confidence. Yeah, it's a good attitude to have. I don't know if we touch in those top 5, but okay. And I'll mention the top 5. You could clearly see if you looked at the thumbnail for the show, you saw who I think most of us would agree in the Eastern Conference. Those are the top 5 teams, but we'll talk about it real quick. Shout out to Jet Life for Life. Appreciate you. JJ's in the building. East Blue Drew is here. Chef NYK. Vaughn
Nice.
Allen is in the building. Max Callie's here. DJ Space Ghost is here. Illmaddox is here. Danny Landis is in the building. Geraldine McIver, the first lady of Still Nick fans, as well as probably other shows too. So, but we love Geraldine at Still Nick fans. King Ribby's in the building. Angel Torres is here. Sherwin's here. D Coolis is here. Did I say Illmaddox already? Maybe I did, but I'll say it once again. Oh, okay. Shaw Powers is in the building. Let's see. Don P is here. What's good, Don P? Appreciate you. David L is here. Let me see. My guinea pigs are here. They're in the background. Worldwide L is here. Let's see. Real King is in the building. Keith Turner's here. What's good, Keith? Real King, I got you. Cormega's in the building. What's good? L Servy's here. Deron Wayne is in the building. The Public Enemy #1 is here. And G Robinson is in the building. Appreciate y'all. Thank you. Thank you for being here and rocking with us, guys. And also, guys, if you don't already know, stay tuned to Dope Soul Sports Talk at 9:30 p.m. Steph is going to have a really, I think, important show about content creators on YouTube. I think the prevailing question is, are we the new ESPN? Can you get your news and entertainment value from us rather than feeling like you have to go to ESPN and other big media outlets to be entertained and find out what's going on? Yeah, so it's a real good question, and she's got a lot of great content creators that are going to be on the show to talk about it and their roles and how they got started and kind of what value and stuff they add to the mix. I'll be there as well as others. John will be there in spirit, but who knows? He may pop up. You never know.
Never know.
So yeah, definitely tune into that. One other housekeeping thing I want to say, guys, nothing's confirmed yet, but I also want to say definitely, mark your calendars for next week's show. We may have, one of the best doing it on YouTube, breaking down X's and O's on the show next week. We got to make sure scheduling works out, but if everything goes good, it should be a really good show. And we'll announce that as we get closer. So definitely stay tuned to that for the NBA report next Thursday at 8 p.m. All right.
Very nice.
Here's the thing, guys. Let me knock this out real quick, and I'll see if you feel differently. I think that the top 5 teams in the Eastern Conference are Boston, Miami, and I'm not going in the particular order. I'm just saying them: Boston, Miami, Milwaukee, Chicago. Excuse me. I need water. Boston, Miami, Chicago, Milwaukee, and who's the other one I just missed? I just had
that 5.
Yeah,
you said 4. You missing one.
I just had it on the tip of my tongue.
Is it Brooklyn? Is it not Atlanta?
Yep.
Is it Cleveland? Is it?
Hold on, man. I got to cheat.
The Raptors.
I got to cheat, guys. I'm rotten. Don't listen. This is what happens when you get old. Philadelphia.
Philly.
Jeez, what's wrong with me? Yeah, Philadelphia. And I think most people would agree that those are the top 5 teams in the East. If you look at record, and if you want to go back historically from the last 3 years or so, these are the same 5 teams that are always jockeying for position. Even last year, we thought there was a shot that one of them was going to fall out, which was Boston. And what happened? Boston got extremely hot throughout the course of the season and got right back into that top 5. And then you saw how far that, they rode that wave all the way to the finals.
But there is that, I would say that Chicago team, that 76ers teams are sort of replaceable depending on the year.
True. But if everybody's healthy, Chicago was number 1 in the league. No,
not
yeah,
a year ago,
right,
because now they
right.
got DeRozan
Correct.
and a couple of other pieces with Lamar, with the ball. With why am I forgetting
Lonzo,
his name?
right? Mm-hmm.
Lonzo Ball there, and and DeRozan and a couple of other key players that they picked up. I think they're going to be in the mix moving forward. But the year prior, they were sort of interchangeable with other teams like Atlanta,
Agreed.
Cleveland, and others.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And then Philly's a little bit of a question mark now. Philly had a level of dominance that they were kind of putting over on a lot of the teams in the league. Like you knew they were getting 50 plus wins and they were going to be right there at the top two, top three. But oddly enough, I feel like they're not as dominant looking now that they have Harden. Is that weird?
No, they're going to need another piece or two there, because I think Maxi's good. I think he's a solid player for that team, but they just need a little bit more punch for that team to be really successful, to make it past the, did they make it past the first round? I don't remember.
Yeah, they did. Their first round matchup was Toronto, I believe.
Okay.
If I'm mistaken, guys, you can correct me. Right. But I think that was their first round matchup.
But that's as far as, you could see them going for, following years. You don't see them getting past the second, going past into the semifinals. Most people aren't going to pick them for a semifinals run or a finals run. Not with the other teams getting better. You know what I mean? As good as they've been, Miami. But then again, everything could change depending on who may go where, right? There's still a lot to be said about where Durant may be going, and other players. But if everything stood the same and every player stood where they're at now, I would say you have to see Boston as the front favorite, and then work your way from Boston to Milwaukee and Miami. Those are the top three, and then 4, 5, and 6 sort of are interchangeable. Those guys can shift around.
Yeah, I agree with you. That is very true. Shout out to KJW Events. Appreciate you. Almighty Finesses in the building. Kept Giggles is here. Salute to you guys. Thank you for tuning in. As always, we appreciate the love and support. Here's the question, because I think this is really important and interesting. Do you guys in the chat, and John, do you think that Giannis can get back to the NBA Finals? Do you think that Milwaukee still has it in them to show that dominance that they've had in the past and have another run at it? Because, and the reason why I ask is we obviously know they struggled a little bit last year. The injury to Middleton was tough. It was huge for them. Giannis definitely needed that second, that Robin to his Batman, you know what I mean? Yep. And they didn't have that. But even with that, the fact that the East is, continuing to get better, these other teams that are usually in that top 5, top 6, if they're healthy, do you think Milwaukee's run might be over? Do you think they had that one shot and then last year was the time, like this past year, they might have had another run at it, but since it fizzled out, do you think that maybe that's the writing's on the wall for them? Not that they're not going to be a good team, but like that team that is going to the finals.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can't count out injuries, right? So that's a number one with that team, is making sure that everyone stays healthy, but also trying to see how they sort of finalize their roster. Who are the guys that they're bringing back, and what type of players are the guys that they're bringing in? Because the reality is that they got 3 quality stars in Milwaukee. When you think of Middleton, you think of Holiday and Giannis. Those guys, they bring it. You know what I mean? And when healthy, they're sort of, top of their in their positions. At least top 5, top 10 in their positions in the league. And so a team like that, all you really have to do is build with key pieces around them. You know what I mean? You got to build them out with shooters. You got to have shooters around them, good defenders around them, You know, they had length when they had Robin and you know, not Robin, the other Lopez brother. I don't know why I said Robin Lopez, but
Brooke.
Brooke. When they have Brooke healthy, you know, and so it all depends on who they plan on bringing back and starting the season out with, and anything that they do during midseason before the trade deadline to make their team better. With that said, those three individuals have to stay healthy in order for them to make another run at it. But I would say they have an opportunity. In my opinion, I think they still have an opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, I just I don't know, man. I just see that. I know it's happening, but the West is still very good. I just feel like the East is really starting to become the new West, and you know, every year that goes by, the East keeps getting better and better. And I just think they're making it very tough for teams to have a level of dominance unless you have that thing that, you know, that championship pedigree that comes over time. Milwaukee is a champion, we know that, but I don't necessarily think that they have that pedigree that Golden State has. You know,
Right.
you know, that's it's you have to earn it. It's tough. It's a lot of tough battles that Golden State has been in. And even Phoenix doesn't have it. I mean,
Right.
Phoenix hasn't won the
Phoenix doesn't
championship,
have
but
it.
we thought Phoenix was going to run away, man. The way they were chopping up the league. And look at how once you figure out what their Achilles heel is, you just attack it, and they fold it, man.
But I told you, if there was a team that was gonna like put it all together, it was going to be the Warriors.
Right.
I had stated that because even if they ran up against Phoenix, it's like, you know, Kerr is CP3's you know, he's his Achilles heel. You know, Chris Paul hasn't really done well in the playoff against Curry. You know what I mean? So either way, I didn't see that as a good matchup for a team like, you know, for that team, you know, per se. But Phoenix got to change a few things on their end to, you know, get back and to also be ready to maximize the talent that they do have right now. Because everybody, like you said, every team gets better every year, and then you start to figure out team schemes and how they like to operate, and then when you see them lose, you start to see a team really break down, you know, or really give them the blueprint on how to defend a team like that, and that's what we've seen in the playoffs. So a lot of teams I expect to see the same blueprint against them, especially a good defensive team, you know, like the Mavericks were, you know. So it's going to be interesting to see as team goes. But I think, you know, the Bucks, Giannis keeps getting better. You know, like his jump shot has gotten better. He's shooting free throws a lot at a higher clip. You know, like those are things that you look for in a superstar, you know, that is, you know, going into his prime years. All those things that you want from a guy like that, he's doing. And so all he needs is a supporting cast to be healthy around him. And I think he will find himself, I don't say winning another title, I would say back, you know, in title contention.
Right.
Because winning a title is tough. It's hard to do that, you know, back-to-back years, if not coming back to it.
Right.
Exactly. 1 year removed.
And I'm going to shift. We'll come back to the East real quick, but I just wanted to shift since we brought it up, because I could ask the same question. And this is even worse because of the fact that they haven't won. But I feel like in the same situation, because you see a level of dominance, but now you see that they got exposed. Phoenix, are they in the same boat? Like, is Phoenix in a situation where they had their best possible shot was this year that just passed, and it fell apart and they squandered an opportunity? Because you know what? Golden State ain't going nowhere, at least for another year. They're going to be good again this year coming up, and they've got a lot of nice young pieces to add to that core, right? Now, you also got Memphis Grizzlies. They're coming back. They got a little taste of the playoffs. Yep. Like, those are two teams you're going to have to watch straight off the jump. Those are going to be two tough teams again. And then you got other teams that may be may surprise you. Minnesota could be surprising with the addition of. That's going to be an interesting mix with Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns. Yeah. Another year with Anthony Edwards possibly getting better because he's, the guy's good.
He's talented.
Yeah. And I don't know what's going to happen with D'Angelo Russell if he still stays on the team, but maybe he stays at least this next year. So they could be right back in it, and they were kind of surprising.
Yeah.
So you never know. And then what does Denver do?
Right.
If Denver gets back,
Murray and Porter Jr.
Oh, I mean, sheesh.
They're a tough team when they're fully healthy too. That's another team who you can't look at them the same as you did this year because they were without those other two players. Jokic was doing everything on his own for the most part, and got him into the playoffs. So he just needs guys to stay healthy around him because he's a talent. But I'm gonna have to agree with you around what you're saying around Phoenix. I think this is their best opportunity to get back, into title contention and potentially win one. But I just don't know. I don't know if, they can pull off another, year like they had. They had, a really, really solid year. They were in, first place. They had the best record in the NBA. And, now that the blueprint is out on how to defend them, I don't think they're going to fare the same way this year coming up. But again, they still have talent there. So sometimes talent supersedes any sort of defense, but I just don't know. Not sure.
I think, that's interesting, Vaughn Allen. I don't know, bro. I don't know if they peaked, bro, because they played pretty good basketball for most of the year behind Jokic. Without, two of their better players. Like,
right.
You cannot think that they won't get better if those guys come back. Because right. Jamal Murray is one thing. When he's good, he's phenomenal. I don't know if he's going to be the same. That's why I put that comment up. I don't know if he'll be the same. But I tell you one thing. Michael Porter Jr., that kid is even 90%. He is a problem. So, and not to forget, they drafted some good talent too. I think Denver could be a surprising team. And I got one more for you. I mean, there's more, but another team that you really got to watch is the New Orleans Pelicans, man. New Orleans
Zion coming back.
Tough.
Zion has what was it? There's on his contract, there's like a weight thing to his contract if he has to make a certain weight.
Yep.
So that's going to be interesting to see off season. Like, how does he come back? How much time did they play him during the, preseason? Did they get him going right away? Or do they hold him out until the regular season? All of that's going to be interesting. But they're already good without him. You know what I mean? They're already good without him. And you've seen what Ingram could do. So that's going to be interesting.
I see your point, Vaughn Allen. I see your point, bro. That is definitely true. They still do have some defensive issues over there.
For sure.
But
talking about
Denver. Yeah. But it's a situation once again where some teams take that stance that we can't defend that great against you, but we can outscore you. We can put you guys in a tough situation, which is one of those things that we'll kind of reference when we talk about the Knicks in a little bit.
We're about to.
Yes, we are. It's tough to know exactly what to expect from all these teams. But I will tell you, even though New Orleans doesn't, Denver doesn't have the best defensive players, it doesn't mean that they won't put in a better defensive scheme. Sometimes you put the right scheme and willing defenders, and guys will be a lot better than you think. No, they're not going to be locked down, but they can play just enough defense that you are not guaranteed that you're scoring every time you go down the other end. So that's all they got to do. And then they'll definitely be able to outscore some of these teams with that firepower.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the taste that we got was the year that both Murray and Michael Jordan, Michael Porter Jr. was on the team and their playoff run. Like you got a
Right.
taste of what they could potentially become. Again, it's barring injury. If they stay healthy, they can, make a nice run. If they come back I wouldn't say they'll come back 100% because both of them have dealt with issues. Both Porter Jr. and and Jamal Murray have dealt with injuries in the past, and it's taken them some time to get back to full strength. But if you get them at an 80 to 85 clip, it's a good enough. They're good enough players to make an impact, and they're athletic, and they just have that ability to be to be stars because they haven't hit the superstar mark yet, but they both have the ability to be stars in this league. And with Jokic, they just become that much better because he's a willing passer. And you know, I agree with you. Defensively, they may not be the best, but I think they can get enough done to win some games.
I think you may be right on that. That's very true. Um, so I see people in the chat talking about the Celtics and Jason Tatum and how he choked. I wanted to get into that a little bit because I got to say I was quite surprised and a little bit disappointed in Tatum. Mm-hmm. But I understand he had a lot of pressure on him, and it's not like he was going up against a cookie cutter team. They were playing some incredible defense against him. I mean, he had to deal with incredible defense throughout the whole playoffs for the most part, but you could just see that it's what happens when teams can key in on your talent, right? As talented as Jason Tatum is, when you start throwing multiple bodies at him, putting him in uncomfortable situations, like any player is going to have issues trying to score and trying to be effective out there. So this is one of those things I think, they have to change their offensive system a little bit and put a couple wrinkles in there for their star players. You need to have something that when the defense wants to double team or triple team, whatever they do, collapsing and showing you different fronts, and Tatum looked confused at times. You gotta do something easy, some type of back curl or a hook screen, something of that nature to free him up and get him easy opportunities. And another thing is, I kind of think some of these guys settle for too many jump shots.
Oh, they do. Definitely do.
It's definitely settling for too many jump shots.
A lot of the new stars of today's game, they do settle for their jump shots because they work on those jump shots throughout the season. They believe in their jump shot. They do settle for a lot of, contested shots, contested jump shots from the 3-point range and, even from the mid range. But it's tough. I mean, I got to give credit to I'm going to give credit to more of what the Warriors did to get him sort of fizzled out, versus, Tatum having a poor performance. I mean, granted, he didn't shoot it well, but I think that had a lot more to do with the scheme that the Warriors put in front of him, the multiple bodies, the change in sets, the moving from zone to man, and disguising it. They did a really good job of disguising what they were trying to do. So it had him off balance, and when he was able to get some shots off, he was always contested, and with one or two, people in his face. So I just don't know, man. It's a different game too. Like the way that they officiate it, the way that the young players play it. It's not like back in the day where everything was right to the hoop, and you was trying to draw the contact. Most players are going against away. They're kind of like falling away from the contact versus drawing it. So
yeah, they definitely they are not pressuring the paint enough. And I'm not saying, look, if this is your game, you've been successful all year, you've been one of the most dominant players, you've had incredible runs, you don't go away from what your bread and butter is. But when it comes to the playoffs and you're playing the top defensive teams in the league, you gotta get in that paint. I don't care what I don't care if coach says We're going to run it the way we always run it. When you see guys that coming at you with different things that you're not used to seeing, you got to switch up. And this is where, which is, I can't believe that they're even looking at it in this way, but this is where Jaylen Brown showed his muscle. This is where he showed his stones. Jaylen Brown looked really good throughout the whole playoffs. And I was kind of surprised because not that he doesn't have a good offensive game. We've seen Jaylen Brown get busy. I mean, first game of the season against the Knicks, what? This dude was unstoppable. But it's just that it doesn't come as natural to him as it does to Tatum. Tatum just looks like it's easy for him to just score in bunches, right? But Jaylen Brown was smart about it, and he was aggressive into the paint. He had some dunks. He did it the right way.
That's what Kobe made a living on, right? Kobe was at his best in the playoffs because of that, because he didn't settle. He didn't settle for the outside shot. He always tried to get closer and closer and work the mid range to his advantage because he was such a real good shooter, like in that 15 to 10 feet range. He can shoot it with the best of them. He had the nice fadeaway that he adopted from the Michael Jordan, from MJ himself. But like he was able to attack the rim and get to the line. I don't think there was a moment in the playoffs where Kobe shot less than 20 free throws, right? Like he would get to the line constantly.
Right.
And then you build a reputation around the league, and then the officiating becomes, adapts to your game because you're so aggressive, and you'll get to the line, especially when you start becoming a star. You'll get those calls, even though Tatum did get a lot of calls, though. Tatum was getting his share of calls, but for the most part, like you said, it was Brown who took over games because of his aggressiveness and his willingness to take on the contact.
I agree. We'll see what takes place, what transpires. I do like the fact that now Tatum has something. You don't want him to go through that, but it is what it is. He's got that bulletin board material. He's got something that he's got to work at for the whole year now. Now he's got everything that happened this playoffs. I got to get better. You know what I mean? He wants that shot, and he should probably get that shot because, we don't know that for certain, but you hope, and I think the Celtics are hoping that even if Malcolm Brogdon is not that healthy throughout the course of the season, that they get him when it counts, that they get him close to the end of the season into playoff time. And if that is the case, if they have a somewhat healthy Malcolm Brogdon going into the playoffs and he's healthy throughout, with the rest of that ensemble cast that they got over there, they are going to be a tough team to beat.
Yeah, I would agree.
I believe that.
I just hope they don't, it's sad to see that they're actually vying for a KD. You know what I mean? I get it. KD is a once-in-a-lifetime talent. He's over 30, though, where Jaylen Brown is still in his 20s. You don't know what the potential is in Jaylen Brown. Maybe you feel like he reached his ceiling. I don't personally think so. I think he's still developing as a player. I think he can get better. And he's just a great match with Tatum. What would that do if you bring KD? Now who's going to be the number one? Like, that's the thing. Now you take that away because you have to give Durant needs the ball to be successful. Now you take that ball away from Tatum, who also needs the ball to be successful.
Right.
It's like, how do you I just don't understand that theory that and that idea that KD is going to come in and it's just going to mesh well with
and
together. I don't see it,
honestly. And I know a lot of people have said it because it's one of those things that you think makes more sense. Really, it doesn't make sense to trade Jaylen Brown for a KD. If anything, it'll be Tatum for KD. Right. You know what I mean? Because that, if you're looking at your team, what you got going on, you know what I mean? That makes more sense. Like, I don't see KD and Tatum really coinciding. I don't see that mesh. It makes more sense to go the other route. Plus, I'm telling you, man, I don't know. Hopefully maybe in the near future, we'll be able to get someone who covers the Boston team on here and they could tell us what they think about it and how Boston feels about Jaylen Brown and what he's done for them, and how do they feel about him being in these trade rumors and this stuff. Because I got to tell you, Jaylen Brown is a workhorse type of player. This guy had a tough injury that he came back from. He worked hard to get back, and you saw the type of level of play he had in the playoffs. Now I'm watching him in the offseason. This dude is got the mask on. He's underwater, jumping up and down, doing agility through water. Like come on, man. This guy's like Greg Jeffries. Sorry, that's a Met reference. Greg Jeffries used to swing the bat underwater. You know, we was about that life back then, but whatever. Anyway, the point is, you know what? He's doing stuff that most athletes, like the average athlete, doesn't do. Of course, there's training regimens that they all do, but I don't see a lot of people doing the underwater stuff that Jaylen Brown is doing to get his body right. I can't trade a guy like that after what he did for us in the play. Like, I just don't. I think, sometimes I think you're doing too much. I think the Celtics are doing too much.
I would have to agree with you there. I just think they just want to be, I don't know if they want to be present in the conversations and be a part of the news cycle. That's possibly it, but it's disappointing if I was a player and I were to take my team, or assistant taking my team to an NBA finals. I don't expect to see my name in any trade rumors. You know what I mean? So I feel for Jaylen Brown right now.
And they're young. Both these, I mean, they're still a young team. I mean, primarily.
Yeah.
And these guys, Jaylen Brown is young.
Yeah. Outside of Horford, they were a young team.
It's nuts, man.
I don't quite understand it myself. And I get it. It's KD. I get it. But I just don't see the fit.
But, on the flip side, maybe it's that thing, John. There was a lot of talks about them feeling like the Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum mix wasn't the perfect mix. Now, this past year, it worked out phenomenally. But maybe in their mind, they look at it on the whole. Maybe they're looking at, every year of running the team and what they've gone through and how it's kind of worked. And they're saying, you know what, in the end, we still don't know if it's the right mix. Maybe that's, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't quite see it. I know if that was happening and I was a fan of that team, I would be highly upset.
I hear you. Well, before we get into the Knicks, there is a couple of other really interesting free agents still on the market. We talked about Colin Sexton. He's still there. Miles Bridges is still out there, and now I could see Miles Bridges being out there to the last possible minute, because we got to figure out what's going on with his situation, because that's a real.
He may not even be back in the league, to be honest.
Correct.
What occurs?
He may take a year off, possibly, or maybe get an extended time off break.
Right.
Montrezl Harrell is another one that has a little situation, but he'll be okay. I'm sure they'll. What he did was, that was also some stupidity there, but I'm sure they'll figure out a way that he'll pay some type of large fine, community service and something, and he'll probably be right back out there for some team. I don't know if it'll be Charlotte, but we'll see. Another interesting person out there is Dennis Schroeder. Now, I don't know what the deal is with Dennis Schroeder. Like, Dennis Schroeder, he bet on himself, which was horrible.
Well, some players, sometimes you need to bet on yourself.
You do. But in this case, it was bad because
it didn't go well for him.
He had about 80 or 90 million in front of his face, and he turned it down. I think it was 80, but I don't know. It could have been 90.
Yeah.
And he turned it down, and then wound up getting like a $9 million or a $13 million contract for 1 year, something like that. I don't know what it was.
And he didn't prove it on the court.
And he didn't prove it on the court. Exactly. So he's in a tough spot right now. I know he's definitely I don't even want to think about it. It almost, when I think about stuff like that, it reminds me of Latrell Sprewell, when the Knicks were offering him $18 million. And he was like, how am I going to feed my family on that, man? That is hilarious, bro. That was one of the funniest moments ever. So Dennis Schroeder's still out there. Hassan Whiteside is out there. and he might be out there for a little while because, quite frankly,
He
he's
is older.
throwback
He hasn't
center,
been.
and the league is different now.
It's
So
changed, right?
it definitely
For
has
sure.
changed. You still got Carmelo Anthony out there.
He's waiting to see where the players fall.
Correct.
For the most part.
I
think he'll find another home.
I think so too. You got Jeremy Lamb out there. I think Jeremy Lamb is a decent player that can fill in for a team.
Good bench role player.
Mm-hmm. Tristan Thompson.
Another.
Kind of he's
one of those guys who you hate when he's not on your team,
right?
But when he's on your team, you appreciate what he brings, you know. But he also he's a little older. He's older. He isn't the same player he was when he was younger. So he will also play a sort of a bench role for a team, looking for a quality power forward / center.
Right. And then you got Andre Iguodala, who I honestly
he'll probably run another year with the Warriors.
I would think I think he's just one more year with the Warriors and that's it. I mean, the guy is 38 years old. He barely played for the Warriors last year.
Right.
And I just don't know if he has much value for any other team. So, you know, a nice farewell tour with the Warriors, maybe get another ring out of it.
Right.
Quite frankly, I think Carmelo Anthony is the person who should also think about signing up with the Warriors to try to get that ring, man. Look, I it's a little cheesy, but I would just like him to get that ring. If he can just be on the Warriors team, I think he made a very poor choice when he decided to go to the Lakers. I know why he did it, because it's LeBron, that's his friend, the connection. But you know what? As I said before, I never forget the fact that LeBron had a chance to bring in Melo before, and he chose what's his face? The dude that
Bosh.
No,
after that, they're in Cleveland.
After that,
it was his Cleveland run.
Oh shoot, I'm not gonna remember his name, man. The dude used to talk a lot of crap, and all he could do was shoot threes. And he was comparing himself, like basically putting himself in a conversation with Melo, and he couldn't even sniff Melo's bathwater. What was his name? I gotta get it. I can't remember it, guys. Damn it.
This was in Cleveland or in Miami?
No, this was in LA.
LA. Oh, so this is kind of recent.
It's kind of recent. It's when LeBron first went to LA.
Yeah. Doesn't ring a bell.
Jared Dudley.
Wow.
Man. Funny. Jared freaking Dudley. He chose Jared Dudley over Carmelo Anthony.
All right. That was when Carmelo had to find a job with Portland, right? Where he was out of the league. I got you.
I mean, really? You come on, man. That's supposed to be your homie, your friend.
Hey, listen. Don't know what goes on in the behind the scenes, you know?
Yeah, thank you, JJ. Thank you, Illmatics. Appreciate that, man. Thank you, guys. Yeah, man. Unbelievable. Let me also shout out Parrish Duggar. Thank you for the generous super chat. He said owners are smart now. No more dumb free agent contracts.
Right.
Yeah. It looks like that they are definitely not. And you know, the other thing that I keep telling people, I keep saying it on the low because I don't want to see it happen, but it's gonna happen. I keep saying when they have to renegotiate the new CBA, the owners are gonna take back their power.
Well, they will.
So enjoy it while you can, guys, because there may be another lockout. It might get crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if there's a lockout, there really isn't going to be anything to talk about. So I remember the lockout in baseball. That was like, it was dormant. It was absolutely nothing to talk about during the baseball
Dudley
lockout.
Plays defense. I got it, Knicks 100. It's true. He's not a horrible defender. I've seen him get cooked before, but he's not a horrible defender. Dudley rebounds and passes. Maybe he's a little better passer than Carmelo. He's not a better rebounder. Carmelo rebounds. Carmelo gives you, like, when he's out there and you put him in the power forward slot, he rebounds. He gives you 6, 7, 8 rebounds, depending on how many minutes he's playing. If you play him more minutes, he'll give you closer to 8 rebounds, maybe 9 even, depending on a certain game. But, yeah, I get it. And
Melo never played no D, though.
Yeah, Melo don't play no
D. He never
even
tried.
Coach.
Yeah.
No D from Melo.
None at
He's got
all.
that one swipe thing that he does where
That's
he
it.
does that and tries to block the shot and might take your head off in the process, but that's pretty much all he's got.
I was about to say that. I don't think he aims for the ball. Sometimes he
No,
gets
dude,
the
I
ball,
don't
but I
know
think he
what
aims
he's
for
doing,
people's
bro.
heads.
Yeah, that's wild. So yeah, and then I'm just thinking, was there another notable person that I might have missed with the free agents? There might be other, smaller miscellaneous guys out there, and no slight to them, but you know what I mean. These are the bigger names that are available. No, that was the list that I was looking at. So those are the guys that are still out there. So
Right.
another question that I had is, while we're still rocking, and salute to Rock Band Fozzy. I don't think I've seen you on here before. If this is your first time, salute to you. Thank you. You might be a person who has tuned into nothing but Knicks content before, but I don't think I've seen you with the NBA report. So appreciate you. Zigzag Zigala is in the building. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. The Knicks. How good can the New York Knicks be with Jalen Brunson? We already talked about the top 5, right? But we don't know from 6 to 8. We don't know who are going to be the teams that are going to solidify those spots around. So those spots are open. It's for the taking right now. Now, obviously, if the Brooklyn Nets can keep Kyrie and Durant on the team, and if Ben Simmons comes back healthy, I would think they're definitely going to be in that mix to be 6 or better.
They're locked without Ben Simmons.
True. No, even without Ben Simmons, they could get back to 6. Yeah. Or even better, maybe, depending on what happens with other teams. But
for sure.
Yeah. So you're talking about 7 and 8, and then you look at who are the other teams that you have to think about. One is Detroit, is moving up. Right. They're going to be better. Atlanta, now with DeJounte Murray, they're going to be interesting. And maybe that cures some of the issues that they had last year that we were like, well, they're so up and down. Mm-hmm. And then, I don't know. I'm not sold on Charlotte. I think Charlotte is going to be even worse.
Well, without Bridges, it's going to be tough. You know what I mean? Him not playing a full season. But you still have the Cavs there. You still have Toronto there.
Cavs. There you go. Cavs, Toronto.
They're all right there.
That's tough, man. That's tough.
Yeah, man.
I think the Cavs will definitely. I think the Cavs take that 6th spot. I think the Cavs take that 6th spot.
You would have to say they're right there. You know, so I mean, it all depends. I mean, if we bring in Donovan Mitchell, and we don't give up as many assets as some people are hoping not to give up, we can possibly make a run at a 6th spot. It all depends on who stays and who goes.
Right.
So
and that's why. Remember I said how good the Knicks can be with Jalen Brunson. I'm not even talking about Donovan Mitchell right now because we don't know what's going to happen with that, but we do know Jalen Brunson is on the Knicks. He's here.
So, Jalen Brunson, doesn't move the needle much. I mean, you get better because you have a quality point guard, but then you have to depend on RJ and Randle having solid years alongside Brunson. And right now we can't bank on it. You know what I mean? Like, we can't bank that RJ gives you 20 and 6. You know what I mean? And 20.6 assists is what I'm talking about, or 4 assists and maybe 6 rebounds. You can't bank on that. And you can't bank on Randle. You can bank on him giving you 20 and 10, right? But you can't bank on him being into every game and not focused on the referees and how they officiate in the game. You know what I mean? Because that, to me, is where where our flaws are. It's him getting off kilt, us not hitting free throws, in crucial moments of a game, having lackluster third quarters. Those are the things that we need to shore up. And you're going to need Randle and RJ to be on point game in and game out, because Jalen Brunson's going to come with it. You know what I mean? I think he's built for the stage. At least I hope so. In my opinion, I think he's built for the stage. So I guess we'll see what happens. Let's not forget the Paris Duggar super chat. Also, he sent up a little bit earlier, and he stated, "Can't cave and give up future stars and 5 picks for D Mitchell." So that's the one thing that we have to pay attention to. Like, do we actually give away, picks? I'm not too concerned about all the picks because I know they have to be in different years. Like, you have to separate the years. So we're gonna have some first round draft picks, maybe every other year. And there's ways to finagle others. But for me, it's more like who ended up leaving the squad, right? Are we gonna lose Obi on that trade? Are we gonna lose Quick and Obi? Are we gonna lose, Grimes? Like, I'm okay with even losing 2 of the 3. I don't want to lose all of them. You know what I mean? Because then you have to rebuild, that bench roster, and that's where we were at best. Where we had, a nice rotation off the bench, and they gave us a spark, especially during the beginning half of the season where the starters weren't doing their jobs. So
that's true.
See,
I agree. I agree with that. That is a good point. Salute to Kerry Cooper, Alton Lee. Appreciate you. Kanal Ban Laya. Obviously, Paris Duggar for the super chat, but also salute to you for being here. There was something that Paris said that I just saw, and that was it. That's a good point. And I think if Atlanta continues to try to play the same way Atlanta played this past year and in the past 2 years, they will struggle. But I think that Atlanta is going to tweak the way they run their offense now that they got DeJounte Murray and they got rid of Gallo and Herter, who, say what you will about, we know Gallo's a really good shooter, but Herter was one of their best 3-point shooters. He was averaging like 3 or 4 3-point shots a game, made, should I say.
Right.
So, yeah, that's tough to that's going to hurt you. So I think they have to make a couple changes as to how they run their offense. But one thing I'll tell you is DeJounte Murray is a very good, efficient scorer inside. He can break down his defender and get to the lane. So that's something that Gallo and Herter couldn't necessarily do. So this is going to be an interesting way that they start running that. And maybe that's another thing they're thinking is with a guy like DeJounte. See, Trey obviously has the outside game on lock. He can break you down and get into the paint and hit the floater. But he's too small to really get past that point because the lower he gets under the basket, his shot is easily blocked. DeJounte can break you down and get all the way to the rim. Now, him doing that is probably going to open up other shot opportunities on the perimeter for not only Trey, but the rest of the guys who may not be as good from the 3-point, but if you give them open opportunities, they can knock them down. So it's interesting. We got to see how it all plays out, but I'm not going to shortchange these teams because you never know how their strategy is going to be going forward, what they're going to do, in this upcoming season.
Yeah, man, and there's a tale of 2 stories, right? There's a tale of 2 halves, right? You look at how Boston started out the season and how sort of mediocre they were for the first half of the season and how they turned it all around the second half. So every team in the East and in the West will have an opportunity to shape themselves to be what they want to become. It's just they're going to be teams that actually, fall in line and really buy into what they're trying to accomplish. And there are some teams who are going to fall short of that. Unfortunately, the Knicks fell short last season. We were all calling out the 50 burger. Some of us was not. I know I was calling out 54, I believe. I think I went as far as saying 54 wins. I will never do that again until we prove ourselves. But you know what I mean? When they ask me that question, how many? No, it's going to be somewhere in the 30s.
It's so crazy to look back and say, damn, we were all jumping out the window, man. It was nuts.
Yeah, man.
Wow. And you know how quickly a season can change your thoughts and how things happen, man. But
especially after going we went 4-0.
Right.
And then we were
Now,
like 9-1 or something like that. We were
we
something
went no,
crazy.
I think we went 5-0, and then I think we
We
lost
lost to
one. It was like
Orlando.
6. We were like 6-1. Oh, that's another thing. I saw somebody said Orlando is another team that's up and coming. I'm not
They're
worried too
still
much
a
about
few
Orlando, but Orlando will
years
be
away.
better because
Yeah,
Paolo is for real. And if what happens if Orlando comes back and the guys just play the way they played last year, right? But Paolo's there now. He's for real. And Jalen Suggs, another year under his belt. Now he's more
He's going to
confident.
be better. Yeah, no,
That's what I'm
Suggs is going to
saying.
be
Like
better.
they could be like the East is going to be tough, y'all. And but I will say one thing because I want to give a little credit to Thibodeau and these young Knicks. With the addition of Jalen Brunson, someone who is a floor general, who understands how to orchestrate the offense, who you can depend on to help put you in spots. Now, I'm not saying he's the best at doing it, but he's a very adequate player at doing it. He's very efficient when the Knicks may be in trouble and they need a shot, they need some points. He's very efficient in the lane, right? That guy might really help Julius and RJ. You know, that might change a lot of things for the Knicks. He might be that guy, you know, I love to say the 3Ds, dribble, drive, and dish. He might be the dribble, drive, and dish guy that we needed, and that sets guys up like Quentin Grimes, who can get a nice open look because, you know, he could be streaky with his shot, but if you give him good looks, he'll eventually start knocking them down. He could get hot. So stuff like
same
that.
With Cam, same with Fournier. Like those guys, if this team stays packed with who we have on this team, there will be a lot of shot opportunities for players that play the wing position or can slide off to the corner and hit an open three. That is definitely a plus. And not only that, if we get D Rose back healthy, you have another floor general coming off the bench who does the same and can push the pace. So it's, in my opinion, it's a win-win. Whether we go after Donovan Mitchell or we don't, I think we just really got to see, you know, how things align. And if we stay packed, I think it's an opportunity for players to step up and show what their worth is. You know, Fournier, we understand he could be a really streaky shooter. We've seen it. Evidently, he plays his best games against Boston, which is a good thing for us. And yeah, I mean, we want to see the same sort of outcome for Cam when given the opportunity, you know, especially with his just physical attributes. You know, the kid is 6'7", very lengthy, you know, can build some muscle, and he just has a sort of a natural game, you know, natural style to his game. So, and you can see him, you know, hitting these open shots when given an opportunity to play 15 plus minutes, you know.
Yeah, I agree. And the other thing that I was going to say that is what makes the Knicks a dark horse is the fact that they still have to round out the roster. This is without Donovan Mitchell, okay? Without him. They still need two guys that they have to add to the team. We don't know who those two guys are going to be.
But let's think about that. Let's think about the roster as it fits today, right now. Right? If we stay packed, when you think about your starting roster, we're talking about Brunson, we're talking about RJ, Fournier, RJ, Randall, and Mitch. Then coming off the bench, you got D Rose, you have
Grimes.
You could potentially have Cam, and then Obi, and then
Jericho, maybe. Hartenstein. Sorry, Hartenstein.
That's 10, right there.
Yep.
And you know Tibbs only plays 8,
right?
So give or take 2 of those 10, and given that Hartenstein just got a contract, you expect him to play heavy minutes off the bench for Mitchell Robinson, right? And maybe play a little 4 as well because he could stretch it. But you hope that Obi gets an opportunity to gain more minutes and gain more playing time, and then the mix of Cam and Grimes. Depending on who's going.
We forgot about IQ.
Oh, IQ, that's 11.
So this is where it gets tricky because
what 2 other players you're going to pick?
I know, and I agree that Tibbs loves to play that 8 to 9 maybe, if you're lucky.
Maybe, right.
But I think Tibbs really needs to start learning how to go 9 to 10. I think he has to give you an extra player in that mix. I think that's part, but that's part of the thing that he said that he regretted. He regretted not playing the young players more. So
is that what he said for this season?
Not for this season. He said at the end of last season. So you got to take that into the season.
Nah, man, he didn't see that. He didn't. He said it last season and he didn't do it.
Right.
So for me, he's not gonna do it. Like he proved to us that he wasn't willing to do it. You know what I mean? And that was one of those things that I was trying to see if he was gonna hold himself accountable to. You know, one of the reasons why I was backing Tibbs the entire first half of the season was like, give him time. Those kids will play. That's all I kept saying. Give him time. Like the kids got to mature. They got to learn the offense, learn the defense. I kept saying that all the way to the end of the season. It's like, yo, this guy doesn't play it. He doesn't want to play them. Like he's stuck on the 8-man rotation. And I thought it was less about them being young players, but more about him just catering to the guys he trusts, knowing that he's only going to play up to 8 players, you know, and every now and then garbage time, you add a 9th player to that mix. But that was like 2-3 minutes, you know, tops. So I don't see him. I don't see it changing.
And you know what? This was great that we did this, that John brought that up, because you see how easily he named 10 guys, and I was in agreement with him. And then we were talking about how Tibbs doesn't play guys, and then the chat, you guys, Illmatics, you mentioned IQ. You see how easy it was to forget another guy that should be playing on the Knicks. And this is the reason why the Knicks need to go. I know this may not be enough for you guys, but I'm just serious. Like if you think about it and how Tibbs runs the team and how many players you got to think about, this is a reason why you go bring in a Donovan Mitchell. Because not only do you bring in a quality player who makes up for some of these other guys, you get rid of some of these other players that you can't find minutes for. It's going to be crazy. I don't know what the Knicks are going to do, because I feel like we're going to be back in that situation again. I think he may. The only thing I think he may do is he may play Obi a little bit more, but that's natural selection. There's no shoot.
There's no I know he's talking about oh man, what's his name?
Taj Gibson. Holy crap. Don't get old, folks. Don't get old.
Taj, yeah. Without Taj, that's a big deal. Gibson. But I think at some point they're gonna, even if they don't do the Mitchell move, they may have to make a smaller move to get some guys out of here, you know, and maybe for some picks or something in the future.
I mean, Knicks 100 is saying they might sign Hunt. I don't know if they're going to sign Jeffries, but you know, if no one's out there and they can get these guys in on the cheap, yeah, I could see it just to fill out, because these guys aren't going to play. To be honest,
just contracts. Those are like 2-way contracts, whatever.
If anything, Hunt and Jeffries can get together, work on the dancing skills. Can you beat Theo Pinson square?
Facts.
You know what I mean? Like figure it out. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure.
And there's talks of them moving Rose potentially.
There is talks of them moving Rose. I saw Parrish mention that too in the chat. Like, and actually the Rose rumors are pretty significant, guys. I've been hearing a lot of it.
They're saying going to Washington, right?
Right. They're saying Washington. There was a real hot rumor that there was talks about him going to Milwaukee. And then there's always the back of the mind thing, like, you know, sending Rose home to Chicago so he can do his retirement thing and all that good stuff. Who knows? But the Washington stuff is very hot and heavy, especially now that Taj is over there.
Yep. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out, man.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think the Knicks will be very interesting to watch. And say they fill out those last 2 roster spots with defensive players. Not guys that are going to play a lot either. But if the Knicks are running into those situations where they're trying to orchestrate certain defensive, you know, systems and schemes, maybe they mix and match certain things. And overall, they really buy into defense, because that's the one thing the Knicks got on their side that a lot of other teams don't have. The Knicks play good defense. They just they weren't able to sustain it a lot last year. because of Kemba, because of Fournier, and quite frankly, all the injuries, the health and safety protocol stuff, they just never got into a good flow.
Lackluster third quarters.
Lackluster third quarters were killer. So yeah, all that stuff hurt them. Now, if they put this stuff together and they come in, if the other thing is RJ could play better. If RJ gets back to the defense that he was showing in year 2 that had us thinking he was going to be a supreme defender in year 3, if he gets back to some of that, if Julius is comfortable and happy, and his game is clicking, he's going to be, because Julius, when you look at his numbers, he's a solid defender. He may have had some issues on the perimeter guarding wings and guards, but as far as his position and center and forward, he's really good.
Defensive well.
Yeah. So that type of stuff can happen, and the Knicks could surprise a lot of people, because even though there's other teams that are coming up, if the Knicks play really good defense, they're going to have a problem too. So, we got to see how it all plays out, but I really think that the addition of Jalen Brunson will definitely make up for 6 to 8 games.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I could see that.
I think my guineas agree. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but
you heard that. Agree. I heard that.
Yeah.
It was like I'm with you, Ron.
Yeah, they are on board. Well, yeah, guys. So I think we should wrap this show up, because I got to get ready to jump on the Queen's show, Dope Soul Sports Talk. Once again, guys, you should definitely check that out at 9:30. She's going to have a show talking about content creators. Are we the new ESPN? Can you get your information and your entertainment from us rather than having to go to the mainstream media that could be very biased with regards to your team? I know definitely a lot of us feel as Knicks fans, the mainstream media is very biased towards us. I know there's other people who say, well, the Knicks haven't proven it, and until you prove it, you're going to have to deal with it. But guess what? As fans, we don't want to deal with it. We've heard it for years. It's getting a little old now. So, that's going to be one of the big topics of the show, and the other content creators are going to talk about their experiences and what they add, different things. So it should be really interesting. So definitely, guys, at 9:30, go to Dope Soul Sports Talk. Check that out. You know what? I'll throw the link in there for you guys. Give me 1 second. Dope Soul Sports Talk, and let me just tell you who's going to be on. So obviously, I'll be on from Still Knick Fans. For the love of the game, somebody's going to be there. I think it's Hard Will. Guard Up Knicks is going to be in the house. Lawrence Tears will be in the house. Die Hard Knicks Eru will be in the building. Knicks and Bruises Tony Crow will be there. Obviously, Steph will be there. Sim from Nothing But Knicks will be there too. So it should be a pretty interesting jam-packed show. Man, it should be pretty cool. So definitely check that out, guys. Let me share this link. Bada bing, bada boom. There we go. And let me put the title here. Dope Soul Sports Talk. There we go, guys. So definitely check that out.
Tune in, don't
Salute
miss
and
it.
Support. And once again, thank you guys for being here. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Appreciate y'all. If there's any names that we may have missed, giving you guys shout outs, it's not for lack of trying. We love all you guys. Appreciate you as always. Freeman 48, I see you. Thank you for tuning in. John, any final words, bro?
Man, as always, stay blessed. Looking forward to the next one.
All right, guys. So definitely tune in at 9:30 to Dope Soul Sports Talk. I told you the lineup. It should be pretty fun. And tune in to Know the Ledge this Saturday at 11 a.m. We'll be talking Knicks once again. We'll see what happens. Maybe something happens between now and then to make it real spicy. And stay tuned for our Monday show, Still Knick Fans Weekly. We may have a special guest once again that could be pretty exciting. Oh, wait, we will have a special guest. Let's just throw it out there. That's right. Chris, the entertainer talking sports, will be with us. We're going to talk about our New York Knicks. He runs a dual show where he talks about the Knicks. He talks about our New York Giants. We'll do a little NFL New York Giant preview. Today he was at training camp, so he got to watch them, Kayvon Thibodeau and the guys in person. So we'll pick his brain, see how they look. If you're not a Giant fan, I know you may not be too interested in that, but for Giant fans, we'll love it. And that's right. But let's not forget, Chris is not just a Giant commentator type YouTube content creator. He also does Knicks stuff too. So we'll be able to chop it up with him about that as well. So that should be pretty fun. That's this Monday coming up at 9 p.m. Still Knicks fans with Chris, the entertainer, talking sports. So that should be pretty fun. And lastly, once again, guys, I want to mention to you, I can't announce it yet because we got to confirm and make sure schedules work, but we're going to have a really dope guest for next week's NBA report if everything works out. He's one of the best doing it, talking X's and O's, big YouTuber with regards to that. So hopefully we can get that locked in for next week's show on the NBA report. So we're out of here. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, we'll be back next time. Still Knicks fans, tell a friend who tells another friend. Still Knicks fans, we'll be back again. And shout out to my man Jose in the background, always holding us down on the ones and twos. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Enjoy and go over to Dope Soul Sports Talk. Let's get that next conversation cracking. Run that.